Wow. I don't know what to say. Just wow. Hello, everybody. I am indeed your host of this show, the Reverend Jeff Kelly. That's probably about the only audio you're going to hear from me tonight, unfortunately. Yeah, been trying a bunch of these streaming platforms, and none of them are actually doing what I need them to do. So thank you for YouTube for screwing me once again. Apparently, I'm not the only person having difficulties on streaming YouTube. I mean, if you want to pay, $500 a month for some of these programs, you can get a good solid stream. But now who knows? I don't know. I just know that it's so very frustrating. But I'm going to stick with it. I'm not going anywhere. Like a lot of people that are out here, we're just going to continue to make YouTube work for the best of our abilities. But if you like what we do here and you want to support what we do here, check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/Cryptid Corner. Cryptid Corner. That's right. For a $1 a month donation, you get all of the latest Bigfoot campfire stories and other stories that come out there as well. Let me give you a little update. Yeah, it's getting to be fall here. So we're expecting Bigfoot activity to actually pick up. The animals will be moving down from the high country down into the lower valleys, probably after the first 10-foot snow, which usually happens the end of September, the beginning of October. I know this weekend we're expecting a frost and a snow on the Donner Pass, but that's probably not going to keep. It'll probably get melted away, and we'll still be able to get into certain things like that. But the wintertime is coming, and the animals will be moving down into the low valley systems, and that's going to generate at least some road crossings and some road sightings, we hope. And maybe they'll come across some of the trail cameras that are out there. I don't know. Now, I don't know how close you guys pay attention to the Facebook Bigfoot community. I pay quite a bit of attention to it because of what I do here. Apparently, the Ocala Bigfoot tours is really getting heated. They're heating up down there on the trail of something. I don't know. Apparently, there's a released Bigfoot trail cam picture. It's not clear or anything. We all know that Bigfoot only takes blurry pictures. He must generate. It must be from his cloaking abilities, from his ability to generate a cloaking device. That's probably why that hope that he's able to see it. Anyhow, it's kind of crazy. They had found some tracks. They had gotten a report of some tracks and went and cast some tracks, and they've got 3 different individual sizes tracks, from anywhere from a human size 10 all the way to what would be a human size 16 with some interesting toe splays in the dynamics of it. You can the Ocala Bigfoot tours. You can just search for it on Facebook, and I'm sure it will come up. I'm not speaking to the validity of any of this. I'm just telling you it's out there. Please make your own decisions upon what you feel you can trust and what you can't. Personally, I haven't seen anything that leads me to believe that these people are anything but genuine. They're trying to work with the Ronald McDonald House. The proceeds for the things that they sell and the events that they have, a good portion of that goes out to the Ronald McDonald House. So I would assume that they wouldn't want to be seen in a bad light by hoaxing things. But in the same token, is somebody hoaxing them? I don't know that either. But you can check out the Bigfoot guys and the Ocala Bigfoot tours are the pages that I've actually seen that stuff come up on. Apparently, the baby Bigfoot from last week, when we skipped out on the show last week, the baby Bigfoot from last week was the new 2019 Bigfoot child's costume. It's not difficult to see that that's what it is, but for you people that want to believe that was a juvenile Sasquatch running around in the daytime, where was its parent? Because that little thing was just goofy looking. So if the baby was out there, the daddy was out there too. Okay, well, let's take a moment and say hi to the people that are hanging out in the lounge tonight. We're going to forego the news. We're trying not to screen share because it just bloody kills the broadcast. We want you to at least be able to hear what's going on. That crackily noisy, crappy stuff is really difficult. I know. Miss Bella Alegria, hello there, young lady. Glad you are with us. Congratulations on getting good news on no more chemo in remission. We're so happy that you're out there and that you're healing. Natalie Smith is back with us. She had that her appendix rupture on her. Good Lord, she's still out there recovering as well. My son Sean's checking in with us. Hello, Mr. Sean. Glad you were with us tonight, talking a little Bigfoot, saying hi. Mr. Dean Cooper, our quasi-theorist. We're going to forego the quasi this week because, well, we just don't want to push the media any further than it's allowed to go. Timothy McCune, hello, sir. How are you? Glad you are with us as well. Cool fishing video. Glad you were able to get out and about and get it done. There's the man, Mr. Rod Dupree. He's always in the place to be, swinging his tool out there. So you get out of line, he'll put you right back in it. There's the Viking, Mr. Don Rife. Hey, champ. Glad you are with us. So glad you're hanging out tonight. Shane Barber, he's checking in with us as well. Hello there, Shane. Glad you are with us. I saw some people join down here towards me. Joshua Salazar, hello there. Glad you are with us as well. And I know there's a couple more. Keith Harden, there's a man. I always want to call him Keith Nash from the movie Paul because I think he's that cool, but that's just me. Southern California Ninjas. That's right. We're glad to see you are back with us. Obsidian Radio. There he is, checking in with us. Been a little bit. Your Hobo Man 5. Yeah, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's right. 6, 5, 3 into the 4. That bitch was annoying. Now she's laying on the floor. Sorry, it happens like that sometimes. All right, Karen Robb. There she is. She's checking in with us tonight as well. And I hope I didn't miss anybody out there. Christopher, if you're listening, eat your vegetables, put a little bit of cheese on it. It will be okay. All right. So with that, let us take a quick peek at what we're talking about tonight. 1986, Mr. Paul Freeman, which a lot of people want to make poor Paul Freeman out to be a hoaxer. And, it's just real difficult to see a poor civil servant have the money to do hoaxing. But this is one of his casts from 1986, and we're going to share it out of the Cliff Barackman collection. Let's see here. Let me bring this much. No, not that one. There we go. All right. Let's hopefully this doesn't kill the audio on it for you. If it does, I am so sorry, but somebody let me know if it does. Hey, there's the Brown Dwarf. And Cody Johnaway is checking in with us as well. Hello there. Hello there. I caught the last two. Okay, there we go. Check out Brown Dwarf's channel. That guy's got constant Bigfoot content going on. He lives in a really squatchy place. So 1986, and this is what they call the rock print. Now, according to what Cliff has on his website about this one, is September 29th, 1988. Ooh, I should have verified that before I put the year on it. So it's 1988, not 86. Can't all be perfect. They can't all be winners now, can they? Mill Creek, which is off of Walla County in Washington. 18 inches long, 7 inches wide, 6.5 inches to the heel. Now, of course, that's the magic dynamic we're looking for, is usually longer than twice as long as it is half as wide. Now, the cast was given to him by Ken and Linda Steggers, the lovely couple who now currently own nearly all of the Freeman collection. I've not been able to turn up much information regarding this print, except that it was written on the back of the cast by Ken Steger. Grover Krantz book describes an 18-inch print that has a 2 cubic inch rock impression into the sole. But on page 20, he states that the cast in question is shown in the center figure 32, that the cast on the photograph is a mere 14 inches. This is a contradiction, which leaves this matter ambiguous. The cast is very interesting in several regards. Most obvious is the rock impression, which sticks into the foot's pad almost 2 inches. The rock was not only driven directly downwards, but also in a forward direction, which is what would be expected from a walking creature. Also, a note of this extreme splaying of toes reinforcing the hypothesis that the flexibility of the Sasquatch foot. There are several other excellent examples of this sort of flexibility from the Blue Mountains, possibly showing the same individual. And that's this is the reason that I wanted to bring this up. If you look at the rock impression in the cast, it is far more important than anything else in the cast, simply because it shows a natural foot impression around the rock. As we've learned in the past, we used to think that we were taking an impression of what the Sasquatch's foot looks like as we cast that material. But as understanding comes along later on, you've actually only casting what the foot did in the substrate that it touched. If it slipped, if he repositioned the foot, if he turned on an angle, if he was walking on a hill, all of those things are going to change the dynamic of the shape of the foot to begin with. When most people go out and they find something that they want to cast, it doesn't have to be a Bigfoot trick, a bear track, a deer track, whatever the case, many times they make the mistake of clearing all of the debris from inside of the track so that when they lay down their casting material, they get an full impression of the cast. Now, while any debris that may have fallen into the track after it was left should definitely be removed. Any leaf litter that has fallen into it, any pine needles or anything that aren't depressed into the track should definitely be removed. But anything that was actually in the track and was depressed into the ground when the animal walked across it should 150% be left intact and cast around. Simply because by removing it, you're removing the most important information, and that was how the foot reacted when it touched that rock. Did the fat pad of the foot absorb the rock and just kind of ignore it as it was there? Did the heel bump up as though it was on a shoe and was unable to absorb the rock into the structure of the foot itself and still be able to walk across it? Because I got to tell you, I got a rock like that I'm walking across. My foot's I'm not putting the rest of my foot down. That's going to hurt like hell. But in the flexibility of the Sasquatch foot, they don't walk like we do. Apparently, from the experts that understand the foot structure and the way these animals exist, they more of a foot plant directly down and hinge as they walk up from the middle rather than heel to toe like a human does. So as this foot was coming down, the front part of the foot was probably already in the ground before the back of the foot made contact with that rock. Ow! And then it was definitely too late. But if we look at the size of that thing, 18 inches by 6.5 inches, if I remember the chart properly, at 18 inches, we're talking about an animal that's 7'8" to 8 foot tall, probably 400 plus pounds. Well, wouldn't it make more of an impression in the dirt if that was the case, if it was 400 plus pounds and an 8-foot creature? Well, this is the other thing that we have to talk about when we look at this particular type of cast. The substrate that this cast was cast in, it was definitely soft. As you can see, the padding of the toes, you can see the splaying of the toes for support as the creature moved along it, whatever the creature may be, Bigfoot, bear, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't matter. The substrate was loose at the time that this cast was taken. It was also still loose when the cast was taken. When the impression was left, the substrate was loose. It was still loose when the cast was taken, but not quite as loose. The point being is a natural movement of the toes inside of the print itself and the back part of the foot actually attacking the rock directly within the substrate itself. Now, if we look back at the cast index, this is what Cliff himself was talking about. Now, this one says 1986 rock here, but the year over here says 1988. So I'm not exactly sure which is correct. It could be 1986. It could be 1988. But within those same years on Cliff's website, we have a bunch of stuff that comes out of Walla Walla, Washington. And that's what they were talking about. It very well could be the same creature. 1988 Blue Mountains rock. So 88 must be the actual deal. But if we look at the footprint that comes along to the 1982 Blue Mountains animal, it very much too looks the same type of track. Twice as long as it is half as wide. and it has the natural splaying of the toes that run all across it. Oh, sorry, I was checking back in here with some of the questions that were coming out of the chat room there. Yes, it's got to hurt stepping on a foot, on a rock like that. I totally agree. Leaving the depression and debris in the footprint does make sense when I think about it. Absolutely, because you want to know more information about how the foot reacted to it, more so than we're concerned about removing it, so we get the full print itself. And you are correct. The shape of the rock does definitely make an impact on how it hurts. But any rock on the bottom of your foot you're not expecting definitely doesn't feel good. Not at all. If we go back and we check a couple of the other Blue Mountain casts, they're all coming out of the same collection from the collection that we looked at last week, the 1982 Blue Mountains Knuckles. We also have the 1982 print we just looked at. Here is yet a third one coming out of 1982, and the consensus is that these are all very possibly the same animal leaving these tracks. Paul Freeman did cast all of them at different times in different locations that year. Now, this is the one that comes up with the dermal ridges in the track itself. And as we look at it, the 1982 June 16 Washington Walla Walla near Elk Wallow, of course, Paul Freeman. This particular track is only 14.5 inches long by 6 inches wide by 32 inches in step length. There were several tracks that they were able to cast and take a measurement from one track to another. This track, to me, looks a whole lot more impressive than the other track that very well could have been a split bear track. But in this case, the casts were taken near Elk Wallow. The location is just a few miles away from where Paul Freeman had his initial Sasquatch encounter on June 10th of the same year. At this site, there were footprints from two individuals. The first individual thought to be the same Sasquatch that Paul Freeman saw on the road nearly a week earlier, and the second Bigfoot remained unseen. These casts are from the second unseen individual. They caused quite a stir when Grover Krantz discovered dermatoglyphics, on them, dermal ridges. He sought the opinions of more than 40 law enforcement fingerprint experts from 7 states and 4 counties, but all of the FBI gave neutral or better reviews as to their authenticity. The FBI said approximately, the implications of this are just too much. I can't believe it is real. Krantz goes on to say that he gave these same casts to various anthropologists and primatologists who, unless they already were open to the existence of Sasquatch, generally gave the neutral or negative review in regards to the ridge details' authenticity. The more open-minded academics gave positive opinions, and the anthropologists might have some sort of professional interest in the Sasquatch not being a real species. It would be an awfully embarrassing pill to swallow if they were wrong about such an important potential discovery. View the close-ups of various parts of these casts can be checked out as well. And that's one of the nice things that, we're here 30 years later, and we're looking at the results of 30 years worth of research on these casts. And, I remember Dr. Spinento saying that, you could fake dermal ridges. I take my foot and I could cast it, and then I could put it in a bunch of paint thinner and blow it up and then recast it again. And I could do that indefinitely to get whatever size I want. Well, that would have dermal ridges on it. Well, I guess I could put a stamp, I could make a stamp with dermal ridges on it and stamp them into the cast material, into the substrate that I'm casting them from. That would cast dermal ridges. So no, I don't believe in Bigfoot. A couple of years later, though, he flip-flops when they come up with that weird Elk Wallow cast. And now he's pro Bigfoot. But, to each their own, I guess. when you're looking at the close-ups of this particular cast, there's scarring material. This is one of the casts that Dr. Meldrum actually always turned to in the Freeman collection and said, you can actually see where there has been dermal injury, healing, and scarring that goes on across different patterns of the foot. So, there's calluses, there's lots of things that are represented in the foot cast itself that would lend it to being, a for real creature out there. And we're still having a problem with the DNA. What do we do when the DNA doesn't actually tell us anything? The DNA just keeps coming back to the same thing over and over and over again. Human contamination, or too close to tell, or whatever the case may be. We just need more of those DNA samples to come out. And like they did here in the Sierras with the eDNA samples that came out of the last In Search of Monsters TV show. They actually pulled something as close to human DNA, if not closer, than chimpanzees at 98% or closer, but it had markers that were definitely not considered human. So if those markers are not human and are not chimpanzee, and they came from the Sierras here in California, just what are they? Here's another one, 1991, Walla Walla, Mill Creek. Paul Freeman, 13.5-inch, 5-inch by 3.5-inch heel, 42-inch step length. January 14th, 1991, Paul Freeman and his wife were having coffee at a restaurant when they overheard a couple of guys talking about some bear prints they had seen on Mill Creek Road. Thinking that it was too early for bears to be out of hibernation, Paul thought they could have been Bigfoot tracks, so he decided to investigate. Around noon, he called Vance Orchard and invited him along. Him and Wes Summerlin met Paul at the house and took the ride to the location together. Wes was quick to point out that the unseasonably warm weather could have brought the bear out of hibernation, but the prints were still worthy of checking out. Upon arrival, several prints were quickly found on both sides of the road. The prints were estimated to be 3 or 4 days old. Vance snapped several black and white photographs of prints while Paul and Wes were examining individual tracks. One of these photographs is included in Vance's publication, The Walla Walla Bigfoot, on page 21. The creature's path was traced for a good distance by the three men. It came out of the bush in the 5 Points area and later went near a wheat field off 7 Mile Road, made its way down to Mule Creek through the grass and the brush and back up the mountains via nearby Blue Creek. Total distance this animal was tracked is approximately 2 miles. They had tracked the Bigfoots numerous times over the previous decade, and recognizing this footprint, he named the individual Big Jim and was aware of several sightings of that individual in the immediate area where the tracks were found. And as a side note, the author believes that this track is of a female individual. They based that opinion on the size of the footprint and the fact that the size didn't change over the years it was found, indicating the creature was full grown at the time that the prints and not a juvenile of the species. So, we have a whole bunch of incidents over a 10-year period of time, some being relayed to the same individuals on several occasions. There are some, Dr. Meldrum feels that in his collection, he has got an individual 30 years apart, 350 miles apart, same footprints from the same individual that, again, show an injury to the foot, healing and scarring, and showing the same scarring that was still evident in the original track that was taken to begin with. 350 miles is not a very long way for a Sasquatch to walk. Not at all. So, all right, here we are. Let's get back to it. Make sure that we didn't miss anybody checking in there tonight, because we are going to wrap this monster up. That's right. I am so glad that all of you guys were here to join me tonight. Like I said, it was going to be a short edition of the Squatchers Island podcast. A little bit of meat and potatoes for you without all the dressings. But I'm still looking. If you guys out there know of any really decent streaming platforms that I can use that either work with YouTube and I can insert some audio without all the please, let me know and I will be glad to give it a shot. All right, that is going to be it. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, notification button, because YouTube doesn't tell anybody that I exist anywhere in the world anymore. If you search for Bigfoot campfire stories, everybody else's Bigfoot campfire stories comes up, but mine. I used to get 4,000 hits a day on Bigfoot campfire stories. Now I get 500 because YouTube just has decided to bury me in some kind of weird algorithm. Oh, but on the good note, yeah, I got 6 of my videos got unclaimed from copyright violations that I never had, which is why I lost my monetization in the first place. Those were all finally freed up and returned to me under no request of my own, but a brand new one started today because somebody wanted their stuff monetized, and, well, my video wasn't monetized anymore. So now I don't get any money for it, but you can count on it that they do. It's just insane. So there, Mindy, Lamento, hello. Hi there. Didn't see you come in. Aaron Duncan, glad you're with us as well. You're going camping with us at Bluff Creek next year. I will let you know exactly when we are going up there. So thanks so much, everybody, for being here. I will see you guys next week. We will do it all over again. And may the Squatch be with you. Hey there, Sasquatch. Sorry I missed you.